I guess we're doing this. I guess we're
Serious
doing
face,
this.
dude.
Let's go.
Serious face. We should probably start by listening to the music, yeah? So
Yo.
I
I
guess
think that's
This is
great.
I
your
guess
show.
I'll start with saying that the first track I've picked out is called Stasis. This was written starting in January of 2017. First release was March of 2018, and then it was re-released in December of 2023.
Oh, let's go.
Oh, where did the print go? I needed that.
Oh, I have it
That's
right
a-
here.
That's a
Right
prop.
there.
That's a prop.
Hold on.
Oh.
Hold on.
I wasn't sure what it was.
Hey.
Cool.
Sorry about that. I thought it was just in
I-
your way, so I moved it.
I have visual aids.
Ah,
I have library aids.
see.
I have to go to a different hospital.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I'll stop that.
Oh.
Gosh, I would love this to be so much louder. Mm.
I love this.
Me too.
It's pretty.
Meow.
I think I'll just fade it out. We all know what the DJ outros are for.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I made.
That was nice.
Thank you. I made this track when I was living in the mountains in Utah, in one of the cities. At the time, I shared a studio with my friend Vasily, That's a picture of said studio if you want to take a look. Um,
Wow.
and he's now one of the composers for a video game called Unbeatable, which is like a music rhythm game, and their tagline is you live in a world that
Worry.
like music is
Worry.
illegal and you
Worry.
do crimes.
Oh.
You do crime.
Yeah, and you do crime. So it's fucking sick.
Wow.
You beat up a shitload of cops, and like, we had this sick studio
Oh.
like back to back, where I had like my setup on the right hand side, which is what that picture is, and he had his setup on the other side,
thank you.
and I don't know, just like a bunch of analog synths, a
sick.
bunch of the guitar pedals. We would have friends over play guitar, just like massive creative energy. So
Shit.
yeah, this track was like kind of in the vein of like progressive house, progressive trance. I know like no one here is surprised by that coming to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you show that to the camera?
Oh yeah, let me go get it.
Yeah, that's what I was. That's what I was trying to do earlier.
Yeah.
Out the window.
Oh, I don't know where it
You're
is.
out here. Can you took it from me?
I couldn't find it.
It'll be fine.
there
We
it is,
have
there it is.
we
Okay,
have
what the hell?
pictures. But yeah, so why I made that track. So that track actually ended
Have an
up
idea.
being the
Where?
first release on my previous record label, and it was the title is Stasis, and it was like with a lot of my music, it was kind of a way to kind of confront my gender identity over the years while living in like, you know, a very Republican household, and yeah, so that particular one was about holding like my inner feminine side like in stasis to like protect myself and stay
Yeah.
safe, but it was also like recognizing that the stasis couldn't last, and like I had to like deal with it at some point. And I remember like having
You had to progress.
I had to progress, and like I had to like at the time kind of shut that part out. And I remember like driving down from like Park City to Salt Lake and just like thinking about it. I was like in the passenger seat of somebody's car and just like thinking about like what I was going to call this track and why I was going to call it that. And I'm like, okay, this makes sense. But at the time I didn't know it was a gender thing. I didn't know like what I was locking away. So I was just like, there's like part of like my personality that I need to just like repress a little bit.
Oh,
but
I get that.
and then also like around when I wrote this track, I started to do like visualization exercises around like my sense of self. And so I would visualize it as like a gem, and like each facet of the gem is like a different side of me, I guess. You know, there's like a, you know, bullshit professional like retail work side, there's an artist side, there's like a cook side, there's you know, like people are complicated, and we can't show our entire selves to like people all the time. Like it depends on the situation.
Oh, please tell me how to stop. Could you tell me how to stop doing that?
Well,
would
I
really
mean,
like
you
instruction.
can put your pants back on. That I would start there.
Oh.
Touche.
Yeah, so the breakdown in this track is specifically like highlighting that kind of gem mindset. Like the breakdown's like very glassy, and it like I don't know, it feels crystalline in a lot of ways.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah,
I
and
thought it
then
sounded extra sparkly.
very sparkly. And for
I
some
mean, like
reason there's
glassy without getting sparkly, if that
yeah,
makes sense. Right?
yeah. There's also a train sample in there for some reason. But the album art
Right.
itself was actually like two triangles pointed downwards. I didn't pull it in, unfortunately. My bad. But it's two downwards triangles, like kind of laid on top of each other, and then a like satellite view of North America, but like a heat map of population density, kind of intersecting one of the lines of the triangles. And consciously, like at that time, like a lot of my album art, especially these days, has a lot of sacred geometry, and so the meaning behind a downwards triangle is like specifically like feminine energy, and that kind of
Mhm.
thing. So it's like,
Yeah.
I like some part of me like definitely knew why I was writing this track, even if I didn't like consciously understand. Um, and then, or yeah, what were you gonna say, Worry?
I was going to say that it's interesting that you mentioned the train sample because as I was listening to it, the first thing that I thought about was the train scene from Risky Business back in the 80s. It had a similar energy to it. And when you said train, it just immediately brought me back to feel that it had that similar vibe. Are you familiar with the
Interesting.
train scene in Risky Business?
No, I've never seen Risky
It's
Business.
It's a very famous scene from the 80s when Tom Cruise makes love to Rebecca Romaine. Romaine Stamos, I think. No. The girl, I can't remember her name, but she was a famous actress. And there's a particular music piece that they play that has a lot of similar vibe. You may want to check that out in your own free time
Okay,
to hear some of that similarity.
interesting. Yeah, I'll send me a DM and I'll check it because I'll probably forget. Anyways, I'm kind of doing a how, what, why, where, and when thing for each of these. So, how I made this one was in Ableton Live 11, I think. I think 11 was out. It was either 10 or 11, but probably 11. I think the main synthesizer was Silence 1 around that time, although it might have been Hive.
Silence. That's the name I've been trying to think about for 2 months. Thank you.
You're welcome. And the melody is like extremely simple. It starts with just a quarter note and then goes into alternating eighth notes, and then it's got an A-B pattern. So like the A pattern plays in like the first half of the track, and then in the drop it switches to the A and then the B. So it's super super simple. And that like quarter note and then the eighth notes alternating just kind of like leads you on just like a little bit and kind of just like pulls you forward. And then at this point in time, I was very much like experimenting with atmospheres and like risers and build-ups and things. Uh, so like that was like my main like technical goal of the track, was to like really kind of focus on the breakdown more than anything. And just like get that like progressive atmosphere, because like I think I was also listening to a lot of stuff from like old school records, like old SQL, Afterglow, like Saturate Audio, Bacillo Glue, like Styler, 8Ks, and like kind of just admiring the atmospheres around that, and being like, I can't fucking do that right now, so I'm gonna force myself to and figure that out. Yeah. Any questions before we move on to the next one?
No, I loved it. What was that? Actually, the what stereo width do you operate in, and what was the date difference between the first Mistaken song you played and the second one?
That's a
Do
very
you aim for 60?
complicated question.
Well, you
I
said
don't.
any question.
Well, so the second part of that, like the
Anything
date
but that one.
difference, between the two tracks is complicated, and I'll actually explain why later. So I'm not going to answer that one right now. You will get your answer though. As far as like
I earned it.
stereo width range,
Yeah.
I think that one just had full stereo width the whole time, These days, it's automated a lot, so it'll go from like 15 or even 0% to 100%, depending on what I'm doing with builds ups and drops and whatnot.